Hey everyone, welcome back to Marketing 100. I'm Kayle, your salon and spa business bestie, and today I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and the founder of the Salon Business, John Hallberg. We're on a mission to bring you 100 snackable, tactical marketing tips to help you level up your salon business game, and today is no different. We're talking about something a little bit spicy. It's getting me worked up, John, and I'm excited to hear what you've got to say about it. I'm gonna let you cook on it. I'm gonna pass it over to you, but I heard that you might be a little mean today.
Get the out of the way. The problem that I see with business owners, coming with so much passion, and there's so much of their self-image that exists in this business, and then when we try to do marketing, we're putting a lot of barriers for ourselves to actually get stuff out. Like we're thinking about how are we looking? What is that other business that we're admiring? What are they doing? And am I as good as they are? And we're kind of like over-intellectualizing, and we're putting a lot of things in the way to actually get stuff out. Marketing to a large extent today, which is about content, is about sharing content online, sharing visual imagery, telling the story about who you are. It's a volume game, right? You need to actually be getting stuff out there. And so when we get in the way of ourselves and we're trying to be really smart and we're trying to really be the best, right? But the consequence is just we're not actually getting stuff out. And I mean that both for you as an individual, as a person, as that creator of that business. But I also mean it for your team. So very often I see business owners who they don't dare to kind of give that freedom and autonomy to the team to actually share what they are doing, to actually own the message of the business and being the one who's communicating on behalf of the business. We don't dare basically to let people just go and to be free. And when we communicate, the best way of doing that is just letting that come natural, right? You're watching this on a YouTube channel that is about education. And the reason you're doing that is because you care about doing things right. And you want to listen to these two guys as we kind of share strategies to make sure that, you're following the best practices or whatever we have to say, I assume, or I don't know why you would be here otherwise. But
they're just here for the entertainment. They're here for the dog and pony show.
But that means that you're kind of having that planner head versus necessarily just being intuitive about this feels right, let's let it go. And we judge later on what works. Because having been in marketing now for, I don't know, my whole life, you never really know what's going to take off and what's not going to take off. And very often it's the stuff that you didn't expect that you put out there that for some reason really resonated with people and it took off. And I think that could be for many reasons. Maybe we're thinking about okay, is there really value in me sharing this stuff? Is there really value in me talking about this? Because for you, you're kind of at an expert level of this subject, and maybe it feels it's nothing to actually be sharing something about this on social. But for the receiver, it's huge. It's often those things that you talk about that are so intuitive and just comes natural to you that you don't even think they are valuable to share. It's often those that actually are the most valuable. We cannot get in the way ourselves over-intellectualizing, trying to really we need to have certain standard on everything and that's why we cannot communicate.
Totally.
We need to be free. We need to have autonomy in the team. You just need to get the out of the way.
I think that this is one of my favorite tips so far in Marketing 100. This is something that I run into so often with business owners, salon owners specifically. I hear horror stories all the time where salon owners, they try and keep a really tight grip on everything. And that could be, the media they're creating. That could be the way services are done. That could be the way that stylists conduct themselves. And yes, it is very important to have a cohesive brand and vibe and culture in your salon. But if you as a salon owner are gripping too tightly, you're going to squeeze too hard. People are going to fall out. People don't respond well to being controlled or micromanaged. And people also don't feel like they have freedom when they're being micromanaged. It's really hard to do your best work when somebody's breathing down your neck. And I think that is something that's really hard to let go of when you have your baby, your salon is your baby, and you've worked really hard to make it what it is. But if you keep gripping that tightly, you're going to choke the life out of it. That's just the way it's going to go. You're going to lose good people. You're going to drive clients away because they're going to notice the conflict in your salon. The vibe is going to be off. your stylists are going to be pissed, or they're going to be talking shit in the back room, which is like the last thing you want. Or worst case scenario, you get fucking mutinied. Like straight up. Like I've seen a mutiny happen where there's a mass walkout. And John, I'm sure you've probably seen this before too. Like walkouts happen. And it happens to salon owners who can't just get the out of the way and let their stylists do their job. You hire your stylists for a reason. You selected them for a reason. And you need to let them do their work. You know, if they're good enough to work for you, then they're good enough to do their job. And they do their job with autonomy. And if there's a problem, if there's something that ends up being an issue, like culture fit wise or like procedurally, then that's absolutely something that you should address and correct. If it's not correctable, then hey, we all make mistakes. Sometimes we hire people where the fit isn't right. No hard feelings. Maybe you have to move on, right? But if you're micromanaging everybody, if you're dictating the way that everybody needs to do things in your business, then you're probably doing it wrong. You either hired the wrong people or you're just squeezing too tight. So I think that it's crucially important for you as a business owner to be able to give that freedom, give that autonomy, let your stylist grow with you. It's a bouquet of personalities, right? They are complementary, but they are not the same. We talked about this on a recent episode. You should hire people that, you know, think sort of like you, but are not the same as you, right? Like you guys should have a value alignment, but it shouldn't be this person is exactly like me or they're the wrong person. Because that's never going to work, especially if you're that kind of personality. You can't hire another you because you guys aren't going to get along.
If you're sensing that you cannot get out of the way and that you don't trust that and you're worried about that, actually, I think that's more like a symptom of something being wrong at the core of your business. If you're going back to the basics, like you were talking about this, like, you know, starting from recruitment and like who you bring onto the team, but also like the values that you install in the team, and how you're involving your team in your vision for where you're heading. Like some of these like core elements of like being a good leader in a way, like if you're coming back to those and making sure that people are super clear on the values of your business, people are super clear on what your business stands about, people are super clear about where you're heading, people are clear about who you are and like what the character is of your brand. Like if you're really working on those things, and people are really bought into those, not just like a few value words living on your website, but people are truly embracing it, and you as a leader are making sure they do, then typically that like sense that you cannot trust them to go and talk on behalf of your brand, you know, that kind of like just kind of is not there anymore because like people are just living it and breathing it, right? And you made that happen. So I think it's about like going back to like, why am I feeling this way? Like, why can I not fully let go? And there might be some like deeper work that you want to do. Obviously, like letting go is very important when it comes to marketing. It transcends all of your business, right? This is not just about marketing. In this context, we're talking about that when it comes to like content creation, having people communicating, but it transcends beyond that. Giving people freedom to run, you know, getting stuff put out there, and then we kind of learn afterwards, and we rather like adapt and change afterwards. If you feel like, okay, this is actually dissecting from what we stand for and it's not going the right way, then, you know, that can be fixed afterwards, right? As you kind of communicate on social and these type of channels. For sure, like when you're like actually building your visual identity for your brand, we talked in another video about having like a brand day or a media day where you're like really creating brand content in your business. Like for sure, those things like you want those to be polished, and you want to make sure you're kind of like controlling that and maybe thinking a bit more strategically around those things. But especially here, I'm talking about like social content, that kind of thing, where we kind of just need to go. We just need to get stuff out there. We just need to try different channels, bringing different, you know, capabilities that members of the team have on different channels. You can communicate, let them play, let them try, and like let them go a bit, right? And you know, get out of the way.
You know what I think this comes down to? Intellectual honesty and like being honest about your feedback and your criticism and the things you like and don't like and that kind of thing. And I think this really plays a huge role in how you coach your team, how you, create things with your team or the autonomy that you give people. And I think that kind of has to take, front and center in a situation like this, where you have to be able to say like, I don't know how I feel about that thing, but give it a shot, right? Or I'm actually uncomfortable with that, and I think it might be a bad decision. Here's why. What do you think? Because I think you'll realize you'll get a lot farther by just being honest and upfront about things. Don't be an asshole. Like, you don't have to be mean, but being honest and upfront about your feelings about something, right? Like, not saying that's stupid or that's a bad idea, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Here's why. right? Because then it's a conversation. There's context for what you're saying. And that allows you to really engage with something that maybe you're uncomfortable with or maybe you don't like in a way that you might end up somewhere that you never expected. And it might be good, right? Because that person might surprise you or wow you with an idea they have. And that's part of why you brought them on. That's part of why you have people, is so that they can surprise you in a positive way and do things that you couldn't do yourself because you can't do this all alone. So especially in those cases, like getting out of the way is just something that's going to be important for you and your business to grow and your culture to grow so that you can all fit together in a complementary way. All right, everybody, that's what we've got for you today. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Marketing 100. What did you think about our tip for today? Do you think you need to get the out of the way sometimes, or are you just not willing to give up that control? Let us know what you think down in the comments. If you want more snackable tactical marketing tips like these, get subscribed. It's that little button down there. There's a little bell next to it too. Feel free to ring that little guy. If you want to try the tactics that we talk about on this show, you can try our salon booking and management platform of choice, Mango Mint. There's a link down in the description. You get 30 days for free and an extra little bit of time on us. Don't tell anybody. But anyway, I'm Kayle, your salon and spa business bestie, and I'll see you in the next episode.